But let's focus on, again, on the impulse, that the incidences that are happening in life. And I know we had many discussions about it, that anything that happens to us that is not divine is coming from a spiritual ground.
Yes.
And I'm wrestling with that idea and understand that. What does that mean? I tell a lot of couples when I have my marriage reflections with them, I tell them, you know what, if your partner is angry at you, never mistake that as being the partner. It's an influence that partner is operating under. So, but can you maybe enlighten us a little bit more what that means?
Well,
it's tough.
I want to shift over to like Yeshua's words. And for those that don't know the name Yeshua is the actual name Jesus walked the earth under. And it's the name that was given to him before time. And actually Yeshua emerges from the actual name of God, Yahweh. So you have Yah, a vibrational tone that connects us to the oneness of God and actually resides within our DNA. There's actually a tone within our DNA that returns to the Yahweh. And that was explained by Greg Braden, I think. He did a writing on that as well, how God's presence is written into the form of our DNA through vibrational tones. And I want to kind of help people remember that Yeshua did not make any mistake in the time that he came here. Yeshua had absolute knowing on a spiritual level of exactly when he would emerge within humanity, and he chose the language of Aramaic to be the language that he spoke, which is very breathing-centered language tied to breath within its expression, very specific. But some of the words that he chose when he was teaching, he said first to the disciples, that I teach you things of a spiritual nature, yet you don't even understand the things of the earth. So he's teaching things of a spiritual nature within the nature of how we're measuring our physical form. And he said, every single thing you witness of corruption upon this earth begins first in the spiritual realm, the order of principalities. So that's where I'd like to begin, is where he gave us understanding, not my own understanding.
Also, please explain order of principalities.
The order of principalities is the nature of the spiritual realm, but those within the spiritual realm that have embodiment. That means that those that have awareness within the spiritual realm. Most things of a spiritual realm, in the spiritual realm, do not have self-awareness. They do not have physical form. They function on an ethereal plane. They function on a vibrational state. The order of principalities are those that are higher within that realm, and they function as what you might want to call princes within darkness. They are functioning in that realm of darkness. They are functioning in such a way that brings a different force upon humanity. And I don't want to go too deep into that right now because I don't want to lose people on the beginning stages of this, but if we look at certain things, and there's many scriptures, but I'll choose from Christian scripture right now, like when Stephen was being stoned to death, he was just a disciple, and he was being stoned to death by a crowd. And the way it's stated within the Christian scripture is it says that as Stephen's body was giving up life, the crowd heard his voice cry out, over the crowd, Yahweh, forgive them, for they know not what they do, for it is the spirits within them that govern the nature of their actions. Because in that moment of transition from life to birth into new life, through the stone pummeling his body and destroying him physically, he was able to see into the individuals what was governing them from this spiritual realm, from the order of principalities. And what you will see in a group setting as such is you will see these individuals that are functioning in a spirit of murder. They are functioning in a spirit of judgment. They are functioning in a spirit of hostility. They are functioning in a spirit of aggression. And they are taking out upon the individual in the center of the pile, usually things that they themselves have done. Whether it is being stoned for adultery or they're being stoned for sacrilegious belief or whatever, and every one of them houses that within themselves. And since we have some time to speak here, I want to kind of shift on that to something more relevant for today. Is if each one of those people honestly, truthfully gave the gap moment over to God, here's a situation that's about to unfold. This crowd that I'm a part of wants to stone this guy to death, take his life, because he speaks of a God we don't know or understand. Here's the heightened situation presenting in front of me. Am I to choose before you? I need to give the gap moment over to God. And now I feel hostility within me. I feel judgment within me. I feel hatred within me towards this individual. So I'm going to give the gap over to God. Before I react, I'm witnessing the situation. Before I react, I have touched upon hatred, hostility, aggression, violence, murder. I relinquish these to God. I choose God over the reaction of the crowd. And now jumping back into the order of principalities, is the order of principalities, those in the higher form of lesser dark forms, those of a spiritual nature that function in a principality role, meaning a demonic role, not just spiritual influence, but demonic, they are governing the crowd. Because the demonic cannot manifest within humanity without disrupting the human form. Spiritually, energetically, they are much larger than the human form can contain. It is the small spiritual influences that just function on an ethereal plane that will manifest as confusion, frustration, sadness, depression, anxiety, hostility, aggression, whatever it happens to be. But when you're dealing with the demonic that's moving a crowd of people, that's when you have the demonic that fragments itself unto a body of like-minded thinkers or believers. Then it coalesces within that group to bring about murder, to bring about high judgment, which is a principality rule of form of judgment. You and I can be in judgment of people and we're out of alignment with God. But when you get a group of people saying, our faith is the only faith, you're a bunch of infidels, we're going to kill you. And then we have the Christian crusades running around killing every Muslim. Then shortly after that, we have Muslims turning around calling the Christians infidels, wanting to kill the Christians. Where did it all begin? It began in the order of principalities, not someplace within humanity. So it can't be blamed on any one generation. It has to be recognized that it is first spiritual in nature and it is manifested through humanity. That's the key.